Hello and welcome to F1 2020. Now this is a My Team career mode that I'm going to hopefully be starting today, and I'm just going to jump right at the bat and say it. I decided not to do another I'm Back video because Belle Delphine has kind of ruined that for me, but I'm hopefully going to make this a series and I'm going to stick to a somewhat consistent upload schedule. At least I hope I am. So as you can tell from the title, it's My Team. We're going to be doing the full 22 race calendar, starting in Australia and ending in Abu Dhabi. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this because this mode in F1 2020, obviously it's new this year. I really enjoy the concept of it, so hopefully it works out well in practice as well. And as you can see here, I'm just starting to make my character. I have made a couple of saves before this, but they were just testing to see like difficulty and stuff like that. But I think I've got it all right now. And as for the name of the team, I named it the only thing I really could, which is of course Wallace Racing. And then it was on to picking a main sponsor, and after mulling it over a little bit, I decided to go for Slingshot Fuel, just because their goal was pretty reasonable, and so was their weekly bonus, etc. And then it was on to the power unit, and right off the bat, I didn't want to go for Ferrari or Mercedes. That's realistic. I wanted to go for Renault or Honda because I want to save money at the beginning of the season, and due to its extra durability, I went with Renault. Which I think is a pretty reasonable choice. And then it was onto a teammate. Now I spent a little while on this because I wasn't sure who to pick. I wanted to go with a 1 million driver, but I was switching between Mick Schumacher and Louis Delatraz, and in the end I decided to go with the latter just because of his insane awareness score and his extra experience over the former. So that's our team, Wallace Racing. So we're going to go ahead and confirm this and move on to the livery, which I'd already made from another save. As you can see, I had about 3 in there, but this one was pretty much the best that I tried to do, and I also made the badge, which I think is okay. As you can see, it's got the team colours with the W there. Also, I know that it looks like the team colours of Italy. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to style it on Wallace's clothing, as well as the Welsh flag. As you can see, the kind of woolen jumper that he wears, the green.
Okay, we're live in 5, 4, 3.
Hello folks, and welcome to the HQ of Formula One's newest team. We've been invited backstage to gain an exclusive insight into what could be one of the most exciting entries in the sport for many years. Now, we've seen a number of new teams enter the sport over the last decade, amongst their number Manor, Caterham, HRT and of course Haas. And while some have proved to be successful, others have morphed into different teams and some have disappeared completely. What marks this team out, though, as being something different is that its owner is also its driver. Now, there's a rich history of that in Formula One too. Sir Jack Brabham, John Surtees, Graham Hill and Bruce McLaren all drove their own cars in the sport, but it has become increasingly rare in recent years. What's very special about this team, though, is that while the team itself is new to Formula One, so too is its driver and owner.
Whatever happens this season, you've already made the history books. Tell me, do you feel up to the mammoth task of both managing and driving for a Formula One team?
Probably not, Will, honestly. We'll probably come last this season. I don't have very much high hopes.
Every team needs 2 drivers, but what was it that drew you to your teammates?
I like the Swiss flag.
No one aims to finish bottom of the table. Who's the team you're aiming to beat?
Well, since Mercedes isn't on here, I guess I have to pick these guys.
How are you expecting the car to feel out on track?
Awful.
The other teams now have years of experience, both on and off the track. How are you planning to catch up to them?
A little pro gamer move called carpet bombing their pit garages. You might have heard of it.
Overtaking is a key part of this sport. How have you ensured that your car can take advantage of each opportunity that comes your way?
Taking a leaf out of Danny Kvyat's book and torpedoing into them.
And finally, which of your new departments are you most proud of?
catering service. They bring me all the biscuits I could ever want.
Well, that's about all we've got time for here. We will see how this fledgling team fares in its first Grand Prix.
Okay, great, thank you. That's a wrap.
Then it was on to the activity timeline, and I decided to go for the aero and chassis focus for the first part, just so the car is a little bit more stable out on track, and then the merchandise sale, just so we have more money at the beginning. And then it was the car reveal. Now, I found Cody's one to be a little bit boring, so I made my own, and I'll leave it up to you to decide which one's better.
Boring!
I'm not dabbing, I'm looking at the floor for cheese.
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 Now that that's over, it was on to Jeff's dreaded weather forecast, and though qualifying was mainly raining, the race looked to be dry, so I can be thankful for that. As we go into practice now, it's our first look at how the Wallace F1 car is going to handle out on track. As I said in the interview with Will, I don't really have high hopes for it, but obviously the aero and chassis focus will have helped us a little bit. And with the first car out on circuit, here we go. The car definitely sounds a lot better than last season. Obviously, Cody's have improved the car sounds, and I'm really grateful that they have, because, God, this sounds amazing. So into the first corner then, we got the braking pretty much all right out the pit lane. As we round the first corner, oh, God, oh, we've lost it. Yeah, we've crashed. And we've got yellow front wing damage. So that was a catastrophic start to the beginning of the season, and we're going to have to box after just one little bit of a lap. But eventually we did get going on the track acclimatization program, and it went pretty alright actually. We managed to get purple lap on lap 2 of the program, but as you'll find out soon, it's kind of the only thing that did go well in this session. Because tyre management, I was too slow in the final sector. I would have got green at least. And fuel management, I just got yeeted by the Iceman. As you can see, he's coming up my outside, and he's just ruined my lap, but I would have been too slow in the final sector as well, which is a recurring problem, because it's the same thing in the ERS management. I don't know what it is about this sector on this lap. I'm fine in the other two. And then on to race strategy, I did that next, and the first couple of laps were good, and I slowly dropped off the pace on the other 3. And, yeah, I got bored by the end of it, so I tried to... almost made it across the line first time, but then had to return to the garage for wing repairs. And now we're back onto a quali lap. We decided to do this last so I could get it in practice 2 instead of practice 1. And at the end of it, yeah, we're 6/10 down. Estimated position 22nd, which has just motivated me to do better in qualifying. Speaking of qualifying, here we are, and it looks to be a pretty damp session, but not wet enough for full wets, which isn't my favourite weather, to be honest, just borderline full wets. But the intermediates definitely go with the car colours, which I hadn't noticed until now. But yeah, here we are out on the first lap of Q1. It is pouring it down now. So this lap is just going to be a banker, because I reckon that the rain will It'll get better as the session progresses, so we'll try and go out as late as possible for our second lap in this session and see how we do. But this lap, as I say, it's just going to be a banker. It doesn't need to be perfect. We can make a couple of mistakes here and there, just feeling our way around the car after practice, because this is the only rain practice we've got, because it wasn't like this on Friday. And as you can see, through the first sector, we actually nail that corner, and that's the corner I had the most problems with in practice, so I'm quite happy with how the car handles in the rain. The rain setup, strangely enough, works better in the dry than the dry setup, which is quite strange, as Lance Stroll does a 1:37 dead, which is super slow. Bumping the wall on the entry to the quick left-right-hander chicane, that's what that's called. Just checking the wing to see if we got any damage, but luckily we haven't. Just coming across the line now, Vettel does a 134.7. We come across the lines, we run out of the ERS to finish P5, only 5/10 off the Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas, which is very promising for our pace. So now we've got to return to the garage and wait it out until our second lap, which here it is as we go onto it. And you can already see around the first corner how much the rain has improved. It's not a perfect first corner by any means because we've lost most of the time, but we have gained around a tenth there. And it's 6/10 by the time we get to halfway through the middle sector. Taking the chicane nicely, just nice and easy, cutting the curb a little bit on the outside, almost getting on the grass, and that curb is really dangerous for spinning, as I've done many, many times. But we're going to ride on board for the rest of the final sector. We're 6/10 up still now, 7, going up on 8/10, which is pretty promising. Is it going to be enough to get us out of Q1 though? We are in P22 now, behind both Williams, Norris and Ricciardo. We need to jump, I think, 6 or 7 positions to get out of Q1. We got a pretty good final exit, and it's just crossing a second quicker than our final lap. Is it going to be enough as we cross the line? It's P15, which I can confirm is enough to get us into Q2 on our debut. And, wow. I'm pretty happy with that lap, and Louis Delatraz was barely in the drop zone. Only a couple tenths away from me there, so that's really promising pace for our team. So into Q2 then, and it has dried up enough to fit the soft tyres onto the Wallace Racing car. But the track isn't entirely dry. So we are going to be a few tenths off this first lap. As you can see, the sky is still black from the clouds of Q1 rather. So these cars are going to be a few seconds off the pace that we'll get at the end of the session. So we'll try and get out as late as possible for the ends. And Roman Grosjean, Kevin Magnussen does a 127.7, which is like 6 seconds off where he should be. So that gives you a little indication of how much this track needs to dry before the end of the session. Going into this isn't straight bit here, yeah, cutting the chicane a little bit on the cutting that curb a little bit on the inside, sorry, which doesn't actually help you. If you get the optimal corner, you're just taking it normally around on the outside curb there, taking the chicane very nicely there. I do love that chicane, and as we cross the line, it's P7, but it's a very slow lap. As I say, it's only a banker lap. So we're going to ride on board for the entirety of our final Q2 lap to see whether we can get into Q3 on our debut. As we cross the line here, going into the first corner, you'll see just how much the track has dried. On the apex, we're about 2 tenths up, and on the exit, we're half a second up on our time last lap, which is really promising for us, although every car will have done that. We are the last car out on circuit, so we get the added benefit of having the driest track out of everyone. Lewis Hamilton goes fastest there with a 120.5 rather, that would be really slow. 2 seconds up as we round the end of the first sector, going into the second one, as the 2 Ferraris now beat Lewis Hamilton, as they're looking pretty pacey. Down to P12 now, but there are still a few cars left out on track, 2.5 seconds up, going into the isn't straight, and that was an optimal corner. You don't need to cut the inside curb there, just need to stay on it to get it really hooked around and drive you out onto the isn't straight, into the high-speed chicane here, hooking it up very nicely there, almost getting on the grass once again, just using every little inch of curb that you can on the exit there, but that curb is very, very dangerous, as I said before. 3.5 seconds up as we enter Q3. We've dropped down to P16 now, so is this going to be enough to get us up any positions? We round the penultimate corner for the last time in Q2, and now the final one, 4.5 seconds up on our original time. What's it going to be? Running out of ERS, and as we cross the line, it's only P16, which at the time was quite disappointing, because I thought that lap was a little bit better than that, but as we scroll down the standings, we can see we're only 5 milliseconds off the AlphaTauri of Danny Kvyat, and both Red Bulls are out in Q2, so it's heartbreak for Red Bull Racing, as well as both AlphaTauris and the Racing Point of Lance Stroll. This is a seriously messed up grid, but I guess we're going to have to go to the race and find out what we're going to do there.
Good day
Now
today.
it's you.
Let's have your take on it. The weather hasn't been ideal in qualifying. What's your take on it?
Well, Claire, it rains. It's when water falls from the sky, and yeah, even the weatherman gets it wrong sometimes, so how am I meant to?
You scraped the walls a few times. Were you struggling for grip?
What? Wait, no. No.
Appreciate your time.
Shut up.
Tough luck there. It's not quite where we'd want to be on the grid, but chin up, it's not the end of the world.
What do you mean, Jeff? I'm pretty sure that was a fantastic qualifying session. We got into Q2. Ugh.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today, as we return to Melbourne for the opening race of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to the Australian Grand Prix. Just south of Melbourne's downtown business centre is the one and only Albert Park circuit. 3.3 miles of public roads, closed for the weekend of course, make for a bumpy circuit with little undulation. There are 16 corners around the lake and a couple of good passing opportunities here as well, thanks in part to the DRS zones into turns 1, 3 and 13. Can Mercedes start with victory in their bid to win a 7th consecutive Constructors' title? Could Ferrari or Red Bull establish an advantage early on? And with 22 cars on the grid, how quickly can the new team find their footing? Well, it's great to be back, Anthony Davidson. We've got a lot to talk about this year.
That's right, Crofty. It felt like a long winter, but it's good to finally be back. I have to think the usual suspects will battle it out at the front, but there are always going to be some teething problems early on in the season, so whoever can keep on top of their issues will have the advantage today.
As I mentioned earlier, we're up to 11 teams this season, with a new entry run by, well, of all things, an owner-driver. That's something we haven't seen in this sport since Hector Raback over 4 decades ago. So how are they looking so far?
It's hard to imagine how a small operation like that could survive in the ruthless world of Formula One. And yet here they are, first ever race looking surprisingly strong. But there are no points for qualifying. Let's see how they fare in the Grand Prix proper.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Sebastian Vettel will start on pole. Fantastic qualifying from the multiple world champion. And it's Charles Leclerc in P2.
Well, that's realistic.
Considering the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Bottas, Kimi Raikkonen.
What?
And Sainz, Giovinazzi, Ocon, Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen.
What is this grid?
Stroll, Gasly, Alexander Albon, and Rose, Delatraz, Sergio Perez and Daniel Ricciardo. Norris.
What?
Latifi, Verstappen, they've taken a grid penalty, and George Russell ends our grid lineup. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
So here we are then, lined up on the grid for the Australian Grand Prix, first of the season. And our selected strategy that the game has prepared for me is soft to hard, which seems a little bit conservative, so I'm going to alter it a little bit. I know the projected race time doesn't really mean anything, but yeah, we're just going to alter this a little bit. And I think I'm going to go to the end on mediums.
Just did a bad thing. I regret the thing I did.
So here we go then. 1 light, 2 lights, 3, 4, 5 for the Australian Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go, and we get a pretty bad launch compared to the AlphaTauri of Kvyat besides us. And Louis Delatraz behind us getting an amazing start. We brake pretty nicely. We outbrake him as Kvyat torpedoes down the inside of everyone there. And we're up into P14, overtaking Pierre Gasly, who is on our outside now. So we're going to have to outbrake him now into turn 3. Can we do it though? I don't want to overtake everyone and torpedo down the inside like what Danny Kvyat did, but it looks like we have got past the Frenchman on the outside there, and we're up into P14 as Louis Delatraz gets up into P16 behind us. So it's a very good start for the Wallace F1 team as we round the I don't know if it's a 5th corner, as Albon is trying to get past Lance Stroll ahead, and we've got to try and keep in the DRS range for 3 laps as Pierre Gasly looking very racist behind us. He is on the medium tyres. As opposed to most people being on the soft tyres. So he looks to go for the alternate strategy of medium soft, I'd guess, for the AI. Going into the high-speed chicane for the first time, keeping with Alex Albon and Lance Stroll ahead, although Lance has managed to pull out a little bit of a gap on Alex Albon, but it's still early days now. We've got to keep our head down and focus for the rest of the race. Going into Sector 3 for the first time, I'm feeling quite a bit of understeer, but that might just be the cold tyres. So we're going to have to maintain that, especially with our aggressive tyre strategy. But yeah, it was a pretty clean first lap. I'm happy with the position I gained, because obviously I failed to mention that I think Max Verstappen got a grid penalty, so we were promoted up into P15. That's where we started on the outside of the grid with Louis Delatraz alongside. So we're sticking with Alex Albon now. We're doing quite a good job to do that, to be honest. What with him being in a Red Bull, us being in a debut car. Which is really good for our debut. So we skipped to Sector 2 now, and we are still on the back of that Red Bull and Racing Point ahead. And Pierre Gasly has formed a little bit of a gap to us behind, which is good that we're pulling away from the AlphaTauri. And as we move on to the end of lap 2, we almost got the back of Alex Albon, outbraking ourselves a tiny bit. Or maybe it was just the Thai driver wanting to not go up the back of Lance Stroll ahead. But now, as we enter lap 3, DRS has been enabled and will be available to use, and we are within 0.4 of Alexander Albon ahead, and Pierre Gasly, crucially, is not within our DRS, and we have done an amazing first few laps using our fuel and ERS, but almost immediately on the next lap, we lose it to Alexander Albon. The tow that he was getting from that pink Mercedes ahead has really helped him, so we're now in a little bit of a no man's land in P14, in between the Red Bull of Albon and the AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly now. So we've just got to hold our own and you know, keep it up. Maybe hope that one of the guys ahead makes a mistake so we can pounce on them and get ourselves maybe even into a points-paying position. Wouldn't that be nice on our debut race? Going around the high-speed chicane now as we cut to where are we cutting to? The final sector. Not sure what this lap. This might be the same one as Pierre Gasly is edging ever closer to us, and so we might have to watch out for that. As in the background, Sergio Perez is going for a move on Louis Delatraz. Is he going to be able to defend? No, the Mercedes just sails past him with the DRS, and I'm guessing overtake button as well, which is really unfortunate for our teammate. But hopefully he can make up that position back because of the amazing start he got. I'm really proud of him for that. He might be getting a raise after this. Let's see how he performs in the rest of the lap. But now Pierre Gasly is in our DRS zone. So we're going to have to pull away from him. Alex Albon has pulled a gap of 4 seconds ahead, which just shows the race pace isn't as good as I thought it was going to be. And now we might even have to defend. And we made a really bad mistake on the exit. That is not what we needed to do, with Pierre Gasly right up our gearbox. But it doesn't look like he's close enough to go for a move in this one. But he might be in turn 3, so we got to watch our guard. We can't be caught off guard with Sergio Perez right behind him as well. And we know how good that Racing Point is, even if it's not up to standard in this career mode. Can someone please tell Cody's how to style a car performance for this year? They can't really blame him because they were taking most of it from 2019 figures. So it is vital that we get a brilliant lap this lap to keep ahead of Pierre Gasly, because those mediums are very soon going to be coming into their own and lapping a lot faster than my softs, which are rapidly wearing out, I can tell you, from the slippiness that I was getting from them. As we round into the isn't straight, we're trying to pull a gap, kicking it up into overtake ERS now. We've got to watch that because it's running out very quickly, but it's not enough. He's still within 0.4. So that's the closest he's been so far. But Sergio Perez is right behind him as well. Sergio is closer to him than he is to me, so that might be hard for him to defend and attack at the same time, which is a blessing for us. As we skip on to lap 7 now on Sector 2, and he is the closest he has ever been. As he goes for a move on the outside, we give him a little bit of space, but no, not even. He's crazy enough to do that. If he was the torpedo, maybe he would, as we see an instant replay of that. That could have ended very badly if I didn't give him the space there, so we're lucky that we did. As we skip on to the end of lap 7 now, just going into Sector 3, he's not quite close enough behind to make a move, but Sergio Perez is actually making a move on Pierre Gasly, if I can see that right. Will he be able to get it, is the question. yeah, the AlphaTauri gets a little bit out of shape on the exit. It's too wide around the entire final sector with Lando Norris behind him looking to make a move whenever one of these two make a mistake. And is the power on that pink Mercedes gonna force him past as we run out of replay mode there? But yes, it is. They're battling through the first corner, and in the end, it is Sergio Perez who gets the advantage on the Frenchman there out of turn 1, which is quite worrying for us because, you know, that Mercedes power definitely got a lot more horsepower and a lot more durability than the Renault engine that we've got in the back of our Wallace car. But we're going to do our best in true Wallace fashion to try and hold them off as far as possible. And we skip to a tragic event now, because it's taken us 8 laps to hit the Bollard on the inside. Usually it's a little bit faster than that to do that, as Romain Grosjean comes in and takes his first pit stop of the race, and well done to the Haas boys. It looks like all 4 tyres are connected properly on that car, so that's a bonus for them. As Charles Leclerc comes out just ahead of us on hards, so he's going soft hard, which seems to be the optimum strategy, but I'm going to try and make soft mediums work, as the racing point of Sergio Perez tries to go around the outside, but we're not going to give him much room here. We're going to squeeze him out there. And there is a whole gaggle of cars behind us looking to overtake in quick succession, but we managed to hold him off. And he's coming back at it again. He's going to try and go around the outside of us. The high-speed chicane, we put our nose back in there and he's forced to back out, but we get on the grass on the outside, so he's round on the inside of us. As we look behind us, there are 6 cars on the road in rapid succession trying to make a move, but as we look ahead, the Red Bull of Alexander Albon retiring with some engine troubles, just pulling off to the side of the road here, which is really unfortunate for him. But as you can see, the virtual safety car has been deployed, so we make a really quick decision to duck into the pits as we almost go in the back of Perez. Boxing this lap for mediums, it's lap 10, 1 lap earlier than we should have boxed. But I reckon this is going to be a pretty good strategy for us as we box now.
Just did a bad thing.
Hitting the brake line pretty good there, and hopefully the team can give us a really good stop for the first stop of the season, and hopefully the only stop in this race as we come right to the end of the pit garage. What's it going to be? As we hold the clutch, it's a 2.2 second stop, which is very, very good from the team there, so thank you all to the pit crew. That was a really good stop. Might even be the quickest in the race if Williams or Red Bull can't beat us. And we overtake all those guys in the pits now. Verstappen, Norris, Ricciardo I think is in there as well. And we come out in P14. And there now is the Red Bull of Max Verstappen charging towards us as we skip on a couple of laps to where he has caught up really, really quickly. The power of that Red Bull, starting from way down at the back of the grid, has now managed to charge its way back up to here, and we're not going to give him any room to aggressively defending on the inside. He's going to try and go around our outside here as we squeeze him out there, not giving him any more room than he is entitled to, and we managed to maintain our P14 in this race, or sorry, P13 there as I look in the top left. But we're going to try and defend, even though that Red Bull is really quick. We're going to try and defend with all our might, as in true Wallace fashion. He tries to go around the outside once again into turn 3. He gives us the space on the inside, and we take every little inch of it. And is he going to make a move on the inside? No, he's not, but he is going to tap us there. He actually makes contact and gets a little bit out of shape himself, but we managed to maintain the position once again. Going into Sector 2, he is all up the back of our car, though, so we are going to have to watch out here. We've still got 14 more laps of this race to go, so this could heat up. As Sebastian Vettel is out of the session, the full safety car has been deployed. As you can see from Carlos Sainz's camera here, the 4-time world champion just parking it up with another engine issue. But we're skipping to the end of the safety car period, catching up to Lance Stroll here. Be careful not to go in the back of him, and trying to get the best possible launch out of these couple of corners. But we get the worst possible launch, getting loads of oversteer and losing a lot of time to Lance Stroll on the exit here. But Max Verstappen, once again, is right up the back of our car. And sorry for the edit there, I'm just skipping in and out of photo mode, trying to get the best shots here. But he tried to go up the inside that we defended quite well, had to take to the grass a little bit, and into turn 3 he's going to go around the outside again. This time, is he going to get the move done? He's more alongside than he was last, and we have to give him the room on the inside of this corner. He bumps us out wide, and we have to take to the curbs once again. So Max Verstappen definitely getting the elbows out there, and he has to concede the position to us, or else that would have definitely been an investigation launched by our team. But we make another mistake in Sector 3, dipping the outside 2 wheels onto the grass, and that has allowed Max Verstappen to get within almost a tenth of us as we go into the penultimate corner, and the game wants us to pit, which should be an indication of how things are about to go. Hint, it's not good. So we're kicking it up into 3-3, but even with that extra power, we run out on the line. It's no match for the power of that Red Bull, and again, sorry for the cut, but he is through on the inside of that corner, and now we have to defend from Romain Grosjean behind, who is also on the mediums. So I don't think there's much we can do now that the Red Bull is past us, and we get really, really squirrely on the exit there. Getting a lot of oversteer now on our worn mediums as we skip to lap 25, and we've just got the yellow tyre warning on the bottom right on the MFD. I'm not sure if that's a new feature in this game. Maybe I'm just ignorant, I didn't see it. Romain Grosjean goes up our inside, a very aggressive move there from the Frenchman, but he manages to get it done in the inside, a pretty simple move there on the green car. As we dip a wheel onto the gravel there, and Pierre Gasly is round our outside. We managed to defend him off, but we dip another wheel on the grass there, and he's through on our inside. So we have to keep this position because he is one of the ones that we're actually racing in this race. So we kick it up into 3-3, even though we have to save fuel and ERS. We turn across him and we take it to the grass a little bit there, but we crucially managed to keep that position. And we were almost in single digits of ERS though, so we have to save it. And a quick look on the tyre update, it's 67% on the front left, which with 3 laps to go, they're really not in good shape. And now Pierre Gasly once again towing Ricciardo along on the straights as well on his gaggle of cars behind him. Is he going to go for a move here? No, he's not quite close enough. But we're kicking it down into lean and medium ERS. Because for whatever reason, you can't kick it down into 1-0, which is quite strange, I find. But we outbrake ourselves a little bit in the penultimate corner, but not enough to make him go through. He's still 2 tenths off us, though. He's closer than he has ever been. We're using all of our fuel and all of our ERS that we've saved up in the final sector, but it is no use. He just sails past us with the DRS. And we're going to try and make a move back into turn 3, but I think he's too far gone, which is a real shame for us because even though he was on much better tyres for the situation, I really wanted to battle him a little bit more. And now the Renault of Daniel Ricciardo is trying to make a move, and we're down 3% ERS. And we're going to have to do a Danny Rick on the man himself here into turn 3, and we managed to make it stick with Sergio Perez now going around his outside there. This battle between the 3 midfield cars down the order now as we look and we're on 80% tyre wear, which is critically in puncture territory. So we're going to stay on with us for a little bit of this lap, see if we can manage our tyres until the end and not get a puncture in one of them. And as we skip to the front of the field, it is Charles Leclerc who wins in Melbourne and takes 25 points home for the boys in red. But it's all eyes on us now as Charles Leclerc wins the Grand Prix. Sergio Perez looks for a move on the outside, but we don't give him the space. Cut a little bit on the inside, then we get out of shape on the exit, so we're using all of the fuel and ERS that we don't have. We have run out of ERS as Ricciardo tries to go around our outside there. We're not giving him the room. But he managed it. He's fallen back about 4 tenths out of the exit of that corner. We did some really good defending. As we look back, and Louis Delatraz has overtaken both Williams on the final lap. As we go into the penultimate corner for the final time, and now the last one. Are we going to be able to hold off Daniel Ricciardo on the line? We're kicking it up into 3-3, using everything we've got on the line. It's P14 at our debut.
A great race then, and a fantastic victory here at Albert Park. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again. And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table.
Charles Leclerc assumes the lead in the standings after today's outstanding result.
Now, let's discuss, Ants. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
Max Verstappen seemed to just effortlessly weave through the other drivers today without a care in the world. He was definitely my driver of choice.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes move to the top of the table.
Well, Ants, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
So there you have it. A pretty successful race all around. Louis Delatraz lost a couple of places, but you can't really blame him because there were pretty high-tier cars behind him, like Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, and Daniel Ricciardo and Sergio Perez, all the midfield cars and top-tier cars behind him, due to engine penalties and whatnot. But thank you all so much for watching. All races are streamed live on Twitch, which will be in the description, so if you want to come say hi or just want to laugh at me and how many mistakes I make in the unedited version, both reasons are fine by me. I'm happy for the extra support and company. Yeah, I'm looking to make this into a series, so Sakir is going to be next week. Join us for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Thank you all so much for watching. Socials will be in the description, and I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, this was a fun one.